The popularity of some places and their surroundings among tourists and holidaymakers results in their becoming fashionable and therefore simply the place to be. But there are also other places in Poland that are no less bestowed by the gifts of nature, that are often more beautiful than the fashionable vacation sites, and that are not well known to everybody, and most importantly, places that are not over-visited by crowds of holidaymakers. Dębno belongs to this group of charming, secluded locations that have been created simply to provide a carefree rest. This small town has all the valors of an attractive summer resort. Located by the Myśliborskie Lake District, specifically between the Kosa and Myśla rivers, it lies amongst numerous clean post-glacial lakes and is surrounded by rich forests of a wide range of trees that cover close to 50% of the Dębno community. Although it is a suburban town, it is not difficult to get to Dębno, located close to the major town centers in the area like Gorzów, Kostrzyn and Szczecin. Dębno is also close to border crossings and therefore it is not far from Berlin, one of European metropolitan cities. Dębno's earliest history is connected with the Templar Knights Order. It was these knights that built the settlement's first church at the beginning of the 8th century. Today, the temple of St. Peter and Paul is erected in its place. The wife of John of Kostrzyn, Catherine of Brunswick, can be accredited with most of the development and expansion of the town. The land was taken over by John of Kostrzyn in the 16th century. Dębno was granted municipal rights in the year 1570, which were renewed and extended by Emperor Frederick William I in 1730. In the 1930s, Dębno became a major tourist center from which it thrived. On the outcome of the Second World War, the town stayed Polish and received its current name. Even though the war paved destruction, enough of Dębno's monuments survived in order to represent its respectable origins. Attention is given to the lofty church tower of St. Peter and Paul in the town center. Stüler, the architectural advisor, erected it in the 19th century. The fact that this church, built by Catherine of Brunswick, stands in the exact place where the Templar Knights built their temple represents the town's character of keeping up traditions. The tenement residences, palaces and villas that were erected during the 19th and the beginning of the 20th centuries are the pride of the town. They were built in a fashionable but historical style. Most of these interesting architectural objects are situated along Armia Krajowa and Mickiewicz streets. These monuments, charming buildings, are not only attributes of the town, even though they are a tourist attraction. The population of Dębno is close to 15,000 and is a place where tradition meets the modernization. Its inhabitants remember the past well, whilst living up to the requirements of the present as well as boldly pursuing the future. A network of restaurants, service and trade outlets, schools and prosperous firms that deal in a great variety of businesses thrive and develop here. The attention of every visitor is drawn to the care given to the aesthetics and tidiness of the town, as well as how its landscape valors have been exposed. The local library is located in one of the most handsome buildings of the town and does not only offer its great collection of books, but also organizes numerous exhibitions and scientific and cultural meetings. The town and community administration is resident in one of the palaces. They effectively take care of the development of Dębno by skillfully using the town profits. The income is mainly received from the nearby oil and gas deposits that are said to be the richest in this part of Europe. A very interesting piece of industrial architecture can be admired at the mouth of downtown Mickiewicz Street. That is an impressive water tower with, as if to give contrast, a colorful and beautifully created flower bed and floral calendar nearby. A characteristic trait of Dębno is how well the greenery and plants are looked after. Here you may take a relaxing stroll through the picturesque parks and squares. The huge oaks may also be admired as statues of nature, from which the town might have even got its present name. The nature reserve that is situated in the western part of downtown's Lipovo Lake is a real rarity, as such an object is not usually found in a built-up area. It is an enclave of greenery and clean water, as well as a habitat for various types of birds, reptiles and amphibians, and water plants. In addition, it is the people of Dębno's favorite place for a leisurely stroll. The Kosa River runs through Lake Lipovo and later cuts Mickiewicz Street. If we keep following the stream, we will eventually come to Planty Street, where there are a few pizzerias, cafes and bars. The tired tourist can easily eat and quench his hunger here. In Dębno restaurants, one does not only eat and drink well, but may also spend their time playing and partying. The Dębno Culture, Sports and Recreation Center offers suitable recreation and organizes various ways to spend time. In the center's buildings that are situated on the banks of Lake Lipovo, there are training and exhibition rooms, a cafe and a full-size professional snooker table. Snooker being a nobler type of game than billiards, on which even international competitions are held. The center also has a tennis court, football fields and a large amphitheater that is situated on the river's banks. The energetic activities of the center also include the organizing of regional and even international meetings that will be talked about in detail later on. There is also a bathing beach on the opposite shore of Lipovo Lake that belongs to the sport and recreational empire of the Dębno Culture Center. It only takes a little less than 10 minutes to take a leisurely walk to the banks of the lake from the town center on a hot day. Here one may swim in the clean waters of the lake or sunbathe on the beach. The center also lends out water sports equipment and owns a small guest house and cafe. The standard and quality of this guest house is represented by interior decoration and the furnishing of its apartments, and is recommended by this film's makers as they had the opportunity to try it out for themselves. They assure you that the stay was very comfortable. Because the shape of Lake Lipovo is elongated, it serves as an excellent area for water sports, especially rowing. Here you may take part in sport regattas and sail to the tune of "Oh, how wonderful it is to rock amongst the waves." The area of waters that cover the Dębno community totals 740 hectares, most of which are lakes. The largest of these is Lake Ostrowiec, which lies amongst particularly charming landscapes. There is no industry here, no dense buildings or sewage that pollutes the environment. It is even prohibited to use motorboats on the water. The lake's artery of life has not been degraded. In fact, it still is of a wild nature. There is no shortage of fish and water birds. There is even a reserve of violet herons on the big island that includes a habitat of gray herons. The beauty of these surroundings and the richness of nature call many a fisherman and sailor to the lake, but thankfully not as many as to interrupt the peaceful and idyllic atmosphere of the place. Not far from Dębno, amongst the dense forests, are the shimmering clear waters of Lake Dushatyń. It is popularly known as Lake Krawczyk, after the forest ranger that resided for a long time in the area. It is one of the most willingly visited outdoor areas by the town's inhabitants. Even though the lake is not very big, it has alarmingly clean water and is located amongst picturesque pine forests that give off a full fragrance. Along its banks, a nature track has been established that informs its users of interesting facts about the area's flora and fauna. The track and other walks along the banks do not have to be done only on foot, but may be explored on horseback or by bike. On a riverside cliff, there is an old ranger's lodge, which is decorated in original architecture. The wide and rich forests of Dębno offer a large variety of pleasures to visitors in the area. Even a simple roam amongst the rich greenery can be attractive and a real experience for every townsman. The greatest delight will have those that are believers in St. Hubertus, as it is not too hard to come back with a hunting trophy. Mushrooms of the best sorts are amongst the treasures of these forests. Unfortunately, we were not able to capture quality mushrooms on camera, but we assure you that mushrooms that weigh several kilograms have been found around here. The many water outlets in the surrounding areas of Dębno are not the only objects that represent the natural beauty of the countryside, but also man-made beauty in the order of numerous windmills, bridges and locks are present here. Old Polish ethnographic festivities also await the visitor in the countryside. For example, you may take an excursion to Warnice and enjoy yourself around a fire in the company of the Warniczanie folk group. Those who love countryside fun may stay here for a while longer at the agri-tourist farm owned by the Podvuyny family, the ensemble's leaders. Amongst the tourist attractions of the areas surrounding Dębno, there are also many valuable historical monuments, such as the 13th century Templar Gothic church in Chwarszczany, which still has original frescoes decorating its interior. Created during the 13th and 14th centuries, it is Poland's most important and best preserved Templars monument. One of the most beautiful sacred architectural objects is the recently renovated church in Smolnica. Not far away from the church is a palace surrounded by a large park. Today, the building houses agricultural schools. Besides its daily function, the palace is used for some more lofty aims, such as yearly painters' meetings, where recognized Polish and foreign artists come. Inspired by beautiful scenery of the old park and lovely architecture of the palace, painters and graphic artists are busy with putting colorful strokes on canvas and cardboard. Their works will be then exhibited in Dębno. Dębno also has horse riding traditions. Among amateur equestrians training here is Kamila Huśmierkowska, one of the leaders among young horse jump riders. The town holds a riding competition for a cup founded by Dębno's mayor. The event is organized by local Center of Culture, Sports and Recreation. The contest attracts national team riders of various age categories and German riders. This relatively new contest is gaining on importance, the Dębno Mayor's Cup being an increasingly coveted trophy. Another, more traditional sporting event has a truly international participation, the International Marathon. Held in Dębno from 1966 in the town vicinity, since 1973 it has been taking place in the town itself. A youth marching band from the partner town of Strausberg added some grandeur to the marathon opening ceremony in 1999. Dębno also maintains partner relations with Renkum in Holland and the Mexican town of Rosarito. More than 100 runners from several countries competing in the 1999 marathon included a few disabled sportsmen. The exhausting route of over 42 kilometers led through Dębno and nearby Cychry and Dargomyśl. The great majority of participants made it to the finishing line. The winner this year, Andrzej Nowak of Mont-But-Nowogard, was handed the prize, a sizable cup, by the town and community mayor Ryszard Święcicki, who used to head the organizing committee for years, before the Center of Culture, Sports and Recreation took over. The active Dębno Center also organizes the Dębno Days, held mainly in the municipal sports grounds and an amphitheater situated near the lake. The list of events staged during this local festival is so long that reading it would go beyond the time framework of this film. To finish our tour of the scenic surroundings of Dębno, let us pay a visit to Dolsk, which we consider the most beautiful village of the region. Hidden amongst the forests, this small settlement can boast rich history and a number of 18th century buildings situated in a vast park. It used to be the property of the von Treskov family. One can admire a perfectly preserved gardener's house, the old God's Mother of Częstochowa Church, and picturesque ruins of a once prominent palace surrounded by an extensive park with centuries-old trees. Dolsk offers both interesting sightseeing places and comfortable accommodation in agri-tourist farm of Mr. and Mrs. Kubiak. Taking a walk along the shores of lakes neighboring Dolsk, we are completing our visit to the hospitable Dębno community. Charming as these golden landscape in the setting sun may look, it is by far more attractive to see these sights in reality. What it takes is just coming here.